Today, we're really digging into two fundamental ways of life: the city versus the village.
Yeah, and we've got this great collection of personal stories, people who've lived in both or really know one environment inside out. It gives us a fantastic window into their experiences.
Absolutely. And it's something so many of you listening have probably thought about, right? Maybe considered a move or just reflected on where you grew up versus where you are now.
Definitely. These stories are just full of vivid details. The shock of city noise for someone used to quiet, or that unexpected warmth you find in a village.
They really paint a picture. So our mission today in this deep dive isn't just to tell these stories, but to kind of pull out the key insights.
Exactly. We want to understand the nuances, what really makes these lifestyles different, what the trade-offs are.
So as we go through this, maybe keep this in mind. Where do you feel more drawn? To the city buzz or the village calm? And what do you think right now are the biggest differences? Let's see what these stories tell us.
Okay, so let's start with Jack. His story is a perfect opener because it's such a direct comparison.
Right. He grew up in a village, then made the move to the city for work.
And the first thing that struck him, just the sheer speed and busyness.
Yeah, he described it as nonstop. Everything fast, everything easily accessible, shops, restaurants, attractions, you name it.
That classic urban convenience.
Yeah.
But he really felt the flip side of that coin.
He missed the quiet, didn't he? The calm of the village.
Deeply. He talked about village life being slower, people knowing each other well, feeling, safer, more peaceful. It wasn't just the lack of noise, but the presence of that connection.
He even remembered his first week in the city. The sound was overwhelming. Cars honking, loud conversations everywhere.
Such a stark contrast to village sounds, like birds singing or children playing nearby.
Yeah.
It really shows how our senses are just constantly processing different inputs depending on where we are.
And the look of the place, too. Tall buildings in the city versus more trees and open fields back home.
A total shift in the physical environment. But here's an interesting takeaway he mentioned.
What was that?
He felt that the fast pace of the city actually taught him patience, which is kind of unexpected, right?
It is. Makes you think how our surroundings can subtly shape us. Have you ever felt that? Like a place brought out a certain trait in you, maybe unexpectedly.
It's a great question. Now let's switch gears to Irish. She offers a different view because she's lived in the city her whole life.
Okay, so for her, what stands out?
Convenience, definitely. Having hospitals, schools, markets all nearby, that's a huge plus for her daily life.
That ease of access really shapes how you live day to day, how you manage things.
And she relies heavily on public transport, buses and trains every day.
Which contrasts with her husband's village, right? Where she saw people mostly walking or cycling.
Exactly. Fewer cars, smaller scale. It shows how infrastructure really dictates routines.
And what about the social side? Visiting his village.
That was a big eye-opener for her. She said it felt like a big family, neighbors helping each other out, lots of gatherings for meals and celebrations.
That real tight-knit community feel. It's a different kind of social connection than you might find in a more anonymous city.
She also mentioned just how relaxing the fresh air and open spaces felt. A real contrast to her usual urban environment.
Yeah, that connection to nature, even just fresh air can make a difference.
And the night sky. Fewer lights in the village meant she could see so many stars. It's a simple thing, but quite profound.
It really is. Makes you think, what conveniences do you value most in your day-to-day life? How might living somewhere else change that?
We also hear briefly from Ahmed, and his experience ties back to Jack's.
Oh, yeah. How so?
He also found that dealing with the city's fast pace taught him patience. So maybe that's a common adaptation.
Could be. Now let's talk about Sarah, my cousin, actually. She did the opposite move, city to village after 20 years.
Okay, so what was her initial reaction?
Very similar to Jack's, but in reverse. She was really struck by the friendliness and the slower pace. Pleasantly surprised, actually.
That change in social rhythm can be quite noticeable.
Totally. And that friendliness wasn't just abstract people invited her into their homes, shared meals, that kind of thing.
That speaks volumes about the different ways communities connect, doesn't it? Less common, maybe, in a big city.
Right. And she really embraced the village lifestyle, too, learned to grow vegetables.
Ah, the garden, yes.
Yeah. And she said she felt healthier, less stressed because of it, connecting with the land,
That self-sufficiency aspect is a big part of the village appeal for many. Different stressors, different rewards compared to city life.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing. She definitely missed things like fast internet and big supermarkets.
Practical stuff. So how did she handle that?
Planned trips back to the city, basically.
Yeah.
Stock up, see friends.
It shows it's not about one being definitively better,
Mm.
right? Both have good parts and difficult parts. It's about priorities.
Exactly. Have you ever gone through a really big change in pace like that? What were the biggest adjustments for you?
It's fascinating how adaptable we are, but also what we miss. Now, Omar's story offers a kind of hybrid approach.
Yeah, oh, yeah. How does he manage it?
Works in the city during the week, but spends weekends at his village home.
Ah, the best of both worlds strategy.
Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
He consciously uses the city for its energy and opportunities, and the village for peace and recharging.
He finds that balance keeps him happy and healthy. Interesting way to structure things.
It is. Do you find yourself seeking out different places for different needs, like city for work focus, maybe countryside for relaxing?
Definitely something to think about. Let's hear about James. Now, he's a friend of the narrator, lives in the city. What's his take on free time there?
For James, city leisure is all about options. Cafes, parks, gyms, meeting friends, trying new activities, it's all right there.
That variety and easy access is a big draw for city living.
He specifically mentioned jogging in the city park after work, using those urban green spaces for health.
Which are vital, even if they're smaller than rural landscapes.
Absolutely. But he also mentioned something else, the potential for loneliness in the city.
Right. Even surrounded by people, that anonymity and everyone's busy schedules can sometimes feel isolating.
It's a common paradox.
Mm.
So thinking about your own free time, how much does your environment influence what you do and who you connect with?
Good question. Let's shift back to the village now with your Uncle David's experience.
Ah, yes. His story really highlights a different pace of leisure and connection.
How so?
He finds joy in simpler things like fishing or just walking in the fields. It's less about scheduled activities, more about just being.
A different mindset. And socially.
Very spontaneous. People gather outside, chat, share stories. It's a relaxed communal way to spend time, building bonds naturally.
And it goes beyond just chatting, right? That sense of helping each other out.
Definitely. He feels that strong connection. Neighbors helping fix a fence, sharing food they've grown, real mutual support.
That's a powerful aspect of village life for many. How important is that strong sense of community for you when thinking about where you'd want to live?
It's a major factor for a lot of people. Now, Emma's story, another friend of the narrator, involves moving from city to village after marriage. A big life shift.
What changed most for her?
Well, learning to cook traditional meals from her husband's family was a big part. Using fresh, local ingredients, homemade bread.
Ah, so a connection to food and tradition.
Exactly. And through that, she felt she understood more about the culture and family life there, environment-shaping cultural experience.
But there must have been practical adjustments, too.
Oh, yeah. Fewer shops, no big supermarkets nearby. It required more planning, more thinking ahead about needs.
Different from just grabbing whatever you need whenever you want in the city.
Right. It made her reflect on how she used to buy things in the city without much thought about where they came from. Now, growing food, being closer to nature, made her value health and the environment more.
It's amazing how a change of scenery can shift your whole perspective on everyday things like food. Has that ever happened to you?
It really can change your priorities. Now, Michael, another city friend, brings up a very familiar urban complaint.
Let me guess, traffic.
Bingo. Traffic and crowds. He works in an office, and he mentioned it can take an hour just to travel 5 kilometers sometimes.
Ugh, that sounds exhausting. A huge drain on time and energy.
It is. It's a major downside for many city dwellers. What are the biggest daily frustrations you face related to where you live?
Worth pondering. Now, Michael's sister Laura, she lives in a village. What's her experience like?
Almost the complete opposite regarding traffic. People mostly walk or cycle. She loves the fresh air, the quiet streets.
Sounds idyllic in comparison.
She really believes village life is better for health and happiness. But she also acknowledges the flip side.
Which is?
Fewer job opportunities. She worries a bit about the future, about needing to learn new skills.
Ah, that classic tension again. Quality of life versus career path.
Exactly. How do you personally weigh those factors? Career opportunities versus that day-to-day quality of life. It's a tough balance.
It really is. Let's hear about Daniel now. He's another one who seems to bridge both worlds, like Omar.
Yes, very similar setup. Lives in a small village, commutes to a city office during the week.
So he gets the daily contrast.
Right. He loves the quiet village evenings, but sometimes misses the city's energy. Weekends are for village walks, seeing neighbors.
He feels lucky to experience both, it sounds like.
He does. It makes you think, have you ever lived or spent a lot of time bouncing between really different environments? What stood out most about that contrast?
Interesting. Now, we've got a longer story from Robert. His life really spans both village and city. Starts in a village called Greenfield.
That's right. And his description of Greenfield is, well, very evocative. Quiet, peaceful, clean air, lots of trees, open fields. Classic rural upbringing on the family farm.
Helping out with vegetables, animals, that sort of thing.
Exactly. He remembers that simple life, the strong community, neighbors always helping each other.
But then, work took him to the city Springfield. Good change.
Huge. Tall buildings, tons of cars, constant noise. He said he felt lost at first, really missed the village quiet and the fresh air.
That sensory overload again?
Definitely. He found city life incredibly fast-paced, noisy, hard to relax.
And the work itself, office job versus farm work.
Totally different. Missed being outdoors. Even lunch was different, fast food instead of his mom's cooking. Small things, but they add up.
But did he adapt? Find things he liked about the city?
He did, gradually. Discovered the library, city parks, made new friends from different places, found new opportunities for growth. Humans are adaptable, you know.
True. But he still felt the pull of the village.
Oh, yeah. Weekends, he'd often go back. Family, fresh air, garden food, slower pace. That connection stayed strong.
So his summary is quite balanced, it seems. City means energy, opportunity, new things, but also stress, noise, speed.
And the village. Peace, fresh air, community, but maybe sometimes a bit too quiet. Maybe boring.
He also mentioned the living spaces, city apartments versus village houses with gardens.
Right, and the easy access to services in the city. It's a complex picture, thinking about your own past. What aspects of your childhood environment do you still really value or look for now?
Let's hear from Emily now. She's lived in the city, Brookside, her whole life. A teacher.
Yes, and she loves the city's energy. Museums, restaurants, theaters, cafes, events. She thrives on that variety and excitement.
So she's really embracing the urban advantages.
She is, but she's also very aware of the downsides. Traffic jams, the noise, and she wills there are more green spaces.
That desire for nature within the city is a recurring theme, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
And her visits to her husband's family in the village of Oakville highlight the contrast for her.
What does she appreciate there?
The quiet nights, the open skies full of stars, feeling safe, the friendliness, seeing kids play outside, neighbors chatting.
The classic village elements.
Right. Fresh food, slower pace, time to relax.
But she does miss city conveniences. Supermarkets, fast internet. The trade-offs again. City equals choices and excitement, but stress. Village equals peace, nature, but maybe less stimulation.
Exactly. What trade-offs are you willing to make for the kind of lifestyle you want? It's always a balancing act.
It is. Now, James, another James, this one moves from city to village after marriage. What was the biggest change for him?
The pace of social interaction.
Yeah.
People taking time for greetings, for chats, different from the quicker city interactions.
That slower rhythm. What else did he notice?
He loves the fresh air and space, especially for his dog. But he does miss the city cafes and shops sometimes, and occasionally he feels a bit lonely because there are fewer people around.
Different social dynamics. How has he settled in?
He seems to appreciate both places now. Works from home, enjoys gardening and reading during the week, feels healthier, more relaxed.
And at weekends?
Often heads back to the city for friends and cultural stuff. He's found a way to blend them.
It seems possible to enjoy both. If you could design your ideal lifestyle, picking and choosing elements, what would that look like for you?
That's a fun thought experiment. Let's dive into another detailed story. This one from Sarah, different Sarah, growing up in Willow Creek Village.
Okay, Willow Creek, what was it like?
Very small, quiet, green fields everywhere. Her family were farmers, so her childhood was all about helping out, being connected to the land and animals.
Sounds quite idyllic. Fresh air, birds singing, safe community.
That's exactly how she described it. Peaceful, happy, strong community feel.
Until university took her to the city Lincoln. Big change, I imagine.
Huge, exciting, but different. She felt nervous at first, missed the village, quiet and friendliness, that initial shock again.
But university opened things up.
Absolutely. Met diverse people, learned new things, made friends. Plus, city resources, libraries, museums, cafes, new foods, different culture.
But also the stressful side.
Yes. The noise, the fast pace, feeling tired, maybe less safe. It's that constant balancing act.
She learned independence, though, right? Buses, time management.
Definitely. Got a city job in an office, busy, stressful desk work. Very different from farming.
Even lunch breaks were different restaurants instead of home cooking. Did she stay in the city?
Eventually, no. She and her husband, Mark, who actually grew up in the city, moved back near Willow Creek.
Why the move back?
They wanted a quieter, cleaner place for their family. More time in the garden, fresh food, close family time. Mark ended up enjoying the peace and gardening too.
So they prioritized that village environment for family life. Does she miss the city at all?
Sometimes, yeah. The excitement, the choices, fewer shops, schools, medical centers nearby means more travel.
But overall, she feels it's better for her family's health and closeness.
That's the feeling. Village life helps them stay healthy and connected. It makes you think, how have the places you grew up in shaped your preferences now?
Deep question. Let's hear from Paul now, city bus driver in Riverdale.
Okay, so Paul's right in the thick of city life. Fast, noisy. He actually likes meeting lots of different people, enjoys the restaurants and shops. Always something happening.
But the downsides?
Very tiring. The traffic, the crowds, the noise at night takes a toll.
And his wife, Lisa. Different background.
Yes, she grew up in a village, prefers the quiet countryside. Weekends, she loves visiting her parents there. Fresh air, open space, just resting.
So they have different preferences? Do they talk about it?
Yeah, they discuss their experiences. Paul wishes the city had more green space and less noise. Lisa thinks the village needs more opportunities.
They see the pros and cons of both sides.
Exactly. They agree both have good and difficult aspects. What are the biggest daily inconveniences you deal with where you live? What would you change if you could?
Always room for improvement. Right. Let's talk about Helen. Village upbringing, moved to the city to be a nurse.
Right. So city work for her is challenging but rewarding, lots of patience, emergencies. But she admits city life can be exhausting sometimes.
And she misses the village.
Especially during holidays. The beautiful hills, clean rivers, hiking, fishing, the slower pace, less stress.
But the city offers career advantages. And more friends.
That's the trade-off she sees. Better career chances, wider social circle in the city.
So what's her long-term plan?
She's thinking about living part-time in both places eventually, trying to get the best of both worlds.
Another hybrid approach. Have you ever thought about a lifestyle that combines city and village elements? What would that look like?
It's an appealing idea for many. Now, another James story, this one starts in the village of Oakwood.
Okay, Oakwood. Small village again.
Very quiet, few hundred people, lots of trees and fields. His family had the bakery, so he grew up helping out, knowing everyone. Calm, peaceful, slow pace, nature sounds at night, felt safe.
Another strong village foundation. Then off to the city for university. Greenfield this time.
Yep, engineering. Large city, tall buildings, busy streets. He was excited, but also scared, totally different. Had to learn the transport system.
What did he find in the city?
New friends from different countries, lots of restaurants and shops, parks, though smaller than he was used to.
And the downsides. Noisy, fast, tiring.
Yeah, but also lots to do. He lived alone in an apartment, missed his family in the bakery, but learned independence, responsibility, even worked part-time in a bookstore.
So personal growth alongside the challenges. Did he stay in Greenfield?
Yes, got an engineering job there, challenging office work, long hours, rush hour commute. Married Emily, who grew up in the city and likes the convenience.
Where did they settle?
City center, close to everything. Though Emily sometimes thinks about the village calm.
Do they get away?
Yeah, weekends they often visit a nearby village, Maplewood. Forests, river, quiet, clean air, hiking, fishing.
So they balance city work and social life with village escapes for health and peace.
Seems like it. It makes you wonder, what are some of the unexpected adjustments you might face moving somewhere totally different? It's not always the big things, is it?
Often it's the little daily things. Let's hear from David now. Lived in the big city of Brightville his whole life. Taxi driver.
That's him. He likes the city excitement, meeting people, the easy access to restaurants, markets, everything.
But the cons?
Noise, pollution, crowded streets, sometimes dirty. And he lives in a small apartment, no garden. His wife, Anna, really misses having a yard.
That desire for outdoor space again. Do they visit the village?
Yes, Anna's parents live in Pine Hill Village. They love the peace, fresh air, open spaces, the garden, fresh food, calm, healthy, safe for kids, close community.
So they see the benefits, especially for family. Do they talk about moving?
They discuss the future, especially for their son, city for work and school opportunities, but village for rest and maybe a healthier environment. It's a dilemma.
It really is. When thinking about raising a family, what are your top priorities for a location?
It shifts over time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Laura's story, born in Eastwood City, but often visits her grandparents in a village, gives another angle.
So she has exposure to both from a young age.
Exactly. Enjoys the contrast. Village means fields, trees, quiet, peace, clean air, helping grandparents with farm tasks.
And the city where her parents live and work.
That's where the shops, restaurants, culture, and opportunities are. She sees the city as busy and noisy, but also fun.
So the family tries to balance time in both places.
Yeah, they see advantages to each. Have you noticed in your own family how different generations might view city versus village life?
Yeah.
What do their views reveal?
Generational differences are fascinating. Now, Michael, village upbringing in Willowbrook, then city life in Lakeside for college.
Right. Willowbrook sounds very traditional, small wooden houses, fields, forests, river, one school, one shop, one clinic. Family farming, simple, calm life, strong community, quiet nights.
And Lakeside.
Big city shock, tall buildings, crowds, busy streets. Felt nervous at first, found it loud and fast.
What did the city offer him?
Restaurants, shops, cinemas, schools. Lived in an apartment with other students. But he missed the village calm, found the city noise tiring, missed the fresh air and trees.
How is daily city life?
Crowded buses, busy streets, people mostly keeping to themselves. He felt it made him faster, more independent, learned to manage time and money.
Got a city job after college.
Yes, sales manager, office job, stressful, long hours. Still missed nature and quiet.
Did he go back to the village?
Weekends, yeah. Visited his parents, enjoyed the peace, saw old friends. Married Sarah, a city teacher who likes the convenience. They have a small city house with a small garden.
So they're trying to make the city work, but the village pull is still there.
Seems so. Sarah sees city advantages but worries about pollution and noise. Thinks the village is healthy but maybe boring for young people. They take holidays in villages, enjoy nature, fresh food, calm.
What's their hope for the future?
Maybe 2 homes eventually. City for work and school, village for rest. That recurring dream of balance. What are your long-term hopes for where you live? What kind of environment do you aspire to?
Always good to think ahead. Let's hear from Robert again this time, a city native from Rivergate working as a bus driver, similar to Paul.
Very similar situation. Likes the city excitement, restaurants, markets, easy access, but deals with the noise, traffic, dirty air. Lives in a small apartment. Wife Emma misses having a garden.
And they visit her parents in Greenfield Village.
Yes, and love the peace. Fresh air, open spaces, big garden, fresh food. Calm, healthy, safe for kids, close community feel.
So they also discuss the future. City for work, school, village for rest, peace.
It's that common conversation. How important is access to green space for you? Is having a park nearby enough, or do you need more?
Depends on the person, I guess. Anna's story sounds similar to Laura's. City-born, loves visiting grandparents in the village. Family balances time between both.
Exactly, reinforcing that pattern of valuing both environments for different reasons across generations.
Okay, how about John? Village upbringing in Maplewood, then city life in Springfield.
Maplewood sounds like a classic, small village, quiet, few hundred people, close houses, farmers, small shops. His family had a farm, simple, happy life, strong community.
Then Springfield for college. Big adjustment.
Yep, tall buildings, busy streets, excited but nervous. Found the city loud, had to learn public transport.
What did he find valuable in the city?
Restaurants, shops, hospitals, cinemas, parks. But he missed the quiet village nights.
What about work?
Got a marketing job. Busy, stressful, but used his English skills, learned independence, organization, liked the career opportunities. Married Lisa, a city nurse who values the city hospitals.
Do they visit Maplewood?
Yes, visit his parents, enjoy the fresh food and calm. But now they're thinking about kids.
The big decision. City schools versus village health and peace.
That's the dilemma. They hope for balance. What key factors would you weigh most heavily when choosing between city and village for raising children?
So many factors. Let's hear Emily's story again, born and raised in Springfield, teacher.
Right. Enjoys city life markets, cafes, parks, lives in a small apartment, likes the convenience, but sometimes gets tired of the busy pace.
I should get away.
Visits her parents in Oakville Village. Loves the quiet mornings, fresh air, helping in the garden, feeling relaxed.
Her take on the difference.
Village is good for rest. City is exciting but stressful. Village can be peaceful, but maybe boring for young people. That familiar comparison.
Does she dream of a change?
Dreams of a house with a garden, maybe in the village for weekends or holidays while keeping their city jobs. What does quality of life mean to you? How much does your environment feed into that?
It's so personal. Now, Peter grew up in a medium-sized town, Hillview, then studied hospitality in a big city, Riverport.
Hillview sounds like a middle ground. Schools, shops, parks, family restaurant. Busy, but still friendly. Riverport was much bigger, more restaurants, hotels, very busy.
Did he like the big city?
Found opportunities, but missed his family in the slower pace of Hillview. Saw the city challenges too. Traffic, pollution.
What's his plan?
Hopes to open his own restaurant back in Hillview eventually. Bring new ideas back home. Do you see yourself returning to your roots after experiencing life somewhere else?
Interesting question. James, again, living in Springfield, accountant. Focus on his daily grind.
Yeah. Crowded bus commute, long travel times, tired after work. That familiar city struggle.
Does he find any respite?
Likes the small park near his apartment, little patch of quiet green. Thinks the city has good things, but misses quiet and nature.
How do you find those moments of peace in a busy urban setting? Where do you go?
It takes effort sometimes. Now, Emma, village upbringing in Maplewood, then university in the city, Oakville.
Maplewood again, peaceful. Fields, forests, family farm, simple life. Oakville was bigger, more amenities.
Right. Lived in a student dorm. Liked the city for learning and meeting people, but missed the village, quiet and fresh air. Tired of the noise and fast pace.
So holidays back in Maplewood were important.
Yet very. For peace and calm. She sees village as good for rest, city for work and study. Married Robert, a city teacher. Live in a city apartment. He likes visiting Maplewood too.
And the future. Kids?
They're considering it. Want a safe, healthy place, but unsure if city or village is best. Want peace and good opportunities. What are your biggest priorities for your future living situation? What comes top of the list?
Always weighing things up. Let's hear about Mark. Grew up in a quiet mountain village, Pinoroviv, moved to Eastwood City for a job.
Pinero sounds lovely. Family restaurant, friendly people, clean air, nature all around. Eastwood was exciting, but very different. Noisy, busy, constantly.
How did he adjust?
Lives in a small city apartment, feels lonely sometimes, but likes having places to visit and things to do.
What's his goal?
Wants to save money, open his own restaurant, and bring his village's food to the city. A way of bridging his two worlds.
That's a great way to stay connected. How do you maintain connections to your past and your community when you move somewhere new?
It takes conscious effort. Now, David and Sarah's story, a classic city meets village romance with a move involved. David from the city, Sarah from Green Hill Village, met at university in the city.
Where did they live first?
City. David liked the fast life, the amenities. Sarah missed her village, the quiet, fresh air, nature, family. Felt tired of the city noise, pollution, traffic.
So they made a change.
Moved to Green Hill. David found it strange at first, a real adjustment.
But did he come around?
Totally. Started to love the friendly people, quiet nights, seeing the stars, peaceful commute, gardening, growing vegetables.
Even when city friends visited.
Yeah, his friend Michael thought it was boring, but David explained how much he enjoyed the peace and rest. They had a son, Daniel, raised him in the village, clean air, kind people. Even David's city parents were surprised how nice it was.
Were there challenges?
Sure. Power outage during a storm, long drive to the doctor, practical village issues. But they stayed happy there.
It's amazing how perspectives can shift. What's the biggest unexpected benefit you've experienced from a change in lifestyle or environment?
Sometimes the unexpected things are the best. Linda's story is interesting. Village-born, Willowfield, city nurse,
Okay.
Kingsport, then back to the village.
Okay, so she tried city life, found it exciting initially.
Yeah, nursing job was good. But after a year, she felt drained. Long hours, small room, didn't know her neighbors, felt lonely.
What did she miss about the village?
River walks, knowing people, even the farm animals. That sense of connection.
So she moved back.
Yes. Worked at the small village clinic, felt much more fulfilled. Married Andrew, a village teacher. Built a house. Enjoyed the simple routines.
What stood out about village life on her return?
Slower pace, people greeting each other, kids playing outside safely, quiet nights, nature sounds, contrasted with city apartments, less neighborly feel. Village houses had gardens, close neighbors helped each other. She mentioned Mrs. Thompson specifically.
What about practical differences? Transport, schools.
City transport easy, village limited, needed planning. City schools well-resourced, village schools smaller, but teachers very dedicated. Her city friends visited, some liked the peace, others missed the city buzz.
So she found her place back in the village.
She and Andrew really valued the quiet, nature, and community. What do you think is the most valuable part of community, whether it's city or village?
Connection, maybe. Let's hear about Daniel Andrew's brother visiting them from the city.
Right. Daniel arrives tired and stressed from his city job. Immediately notices the quiet in Willowfield, hears nature sounds, realizes he never sees stars in the city.
What else struck him?
The friendliness. The community felt like family. Visited the small school full of life. The clinic lots of care despite fewer resources. He even helped on a farm. Enjoyed working with his hands. Understood why Andrew and Linda chose that life.
Did he meet anyone else interesting?
Met Mr. Clark. Used to be a city office worker. Now runs the village bakery. Happier, even with less money. Daniel felt much better after 2 weeks there. Learned about peace, people, purpose.
Did the experience change him?
Andrew pointed out the village teaches you to slow down. Daniel went back to the city and made changes, walked more, grew plants, visited neighbors, volunteered at a school, learned about a different kind of happiness helping others. The village gave him a new perspective.
Wow. Have you ever had an experience somewhere else that just completely shifted your perspective like that?
Those moments can be powerful. James and Mary's story now, city couple visiting his Uncle Robert and Aunt Helen in a village.
What were they hoping for?
Quiet and peace. Tired of crowded buses, busy supermarkets, small apartment, city noise.
Did they find it?
Yes. Love the village sounds nature, birds, saw green fields, trees, flowers, visited the small market, fresh food, friendly baker Tom, have Robert in the garden, learned about growing food, enjoyed a fresh home-cooked meal, visited the small, happy school.
How did they feel?
Relaxed, happy, like the slow pace. James understood why people moved to villages for peace and health.
Did it inspire any changes back home?
Yeah, wanted to find more balance, started growing plants, walking in the park more. Small things. What small changes have you made to your routine to feel better? It's all of the small things. Michael and Laura's story is similar city couple visiting her parents, John and Mary, in a village.
Same pattern. Busy city mornings, small apartment, noise, looking for quiet and calm.
Exactly. Enjoyed the village fresh air, green fields. Visited the market, fresh, healthy food. Michael helped in the garden, learned patience, enjoyed simple, tasty dinners. Visited the small, friendly school.
Felt more relaxed there.
Much more. And again, returned to the city wanting more balance, growing plants, walking in the park. What does balance in life mean to you? How do you find it?
It's a constant pursuit. Let's hear about David and Emma. They actually live in the village.
Right. David's the shopkeeper, Emma's a teacher. Very involved in the friendly community. David knows everyone, Emma knows her students and parents.
Yeah.
Enjoy peaceful evenings.
What happened when their city cousin James visited?
James was really surprised by the friendliness and calm. Enjoyed helping in the shop and at the school, visited a farm, learned about growing food, loved the quiet nights, the stars, realized the value of village peace and health.
It changed his perspective.
He went back to the city, wanting to slow down, eat healthier, connect more with people, find quiet moments. What small gestures of kindness or connection have brightened your day recently? They make such a difference. Last family story, Sarah, Richard, Lucy, and Daniel. City family visiting a friend, Hannah, in a village.
What was the setup? Busy city life, small apartment, not much green space.
Yep. Hannah's village place had a big yard, garden, even goats. The kids were thrilled.
What did the parents experience?
Richard helped fix a fence, got a taste of village self-sufficiency. They had a peaceful dinner outside under the stars.
Did the visit have a lasting impact?
The kids talked about it for ages. Sarah started growing herbs at home, cooking simpler meals. Just being in nature sparked something. What are some of your favorite memories of spending time in nature?
Nature has that effect. So wrapping up this deep dive, it's really clear these stories show such different rhythms, different priorities between city and village.
Absolutely. Cities offer that buzz, the opportunity, the convenience. Villages provide that strong community feel, that connection to nature. Both have clear pluses and definite challenges.
And there's no single better answer, is there? It's so personal. It depends on your values, what you need at that point in your life, what you're willing to trade off.
Exactly. What works for one person or one family might be completely different for another. And many people, as we heard, try to find ways to get a bit of both.
So, considering everything we've explored today, all these different lives and perspectives, here's a final thought for you. What single thing, maybe pace, connection, opportunity, nature, something else entirely? What one element do you feel is most essential for your own well-being and fulfillment?
Right, regardless of whether you find it in a bustling city or a quiet village. What kind of environment, deep down, really lets you thrive? Something to definitely mull over.